Welcome to the New Flat Rate Podcast.
The New Flat Rate!
A podcast for contractors who need help increasing their service tickets, creating working processes, and building freedom in their lives. In today's episode, we sat down with Colleen Keyworth, the Director of Sales and Marketing at Online Access, to talk about online access and how they help contractors in so many ways. And now, your host, Danielle Putnam.
Colleen, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Danielle. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I know that Colleen and I we've been in the industry together for a really long time. And so, of course, we've been besties at different events. And even in between events, that phone call of, hey, friend, this is what's going on at work. This is what we're seeing. This is what's working well. This is what's not. What's going on with you? And so it's just been great to have that person in the industry. So if you don't know Colleen, she is definitely one to know. And so I can't wait for her to share more about herself. So Colleen, we've got a lot to talk about today, but to dive right in all the way, really fast, real quick. My first question for you is, what's the most bizarre or funniest thing that's ever happened to you during a work day?
So twice, which was crazy, before we moved to our new building, Online Access shared a building with Vincent's, our contracting company. And Vincent's is on a very, very busy corner, just as the expressway empties out into Port Huron. And so it's great traffic area. Well, the downside is we had a car literally plow through our cars in the parking lot. That was a super fun day. And then prior to that, Vincent's had a car go through the corner wall. And so that, like, they're a couple years apart, but it was enough that we have like barriers there now and like posts and whatnot. But it was a very, very crazy day. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was injured. Thank goodness. Our lead developer has a huge truck and he usually parked first. So he kind of buffeted everybody's car. Took the brunt of it. He was the hero, if you will. But it was one of those things that kind of shakes everybody up just because like it's just so random that it happens. And there's a house across the street from that building. So they have posts now too, because they had a car go through their house. So it just it's a little crazy, and it just disrupted everybody that whole day, because it was like, all right, like we had to move cars, and of course the building was like nuts. Luckily that happened a little bit later in the day and nobody was harmed. Anybody was in the so yeah.
What a blessing. So when you feel like you're having a bad day at the office, if you have not had a car go through the building,
Doing okay.
count your blessings. And good process learning there, because it happened. You guys put up barriers so it won't happen again. And that's a great thing for all of us business owners to remember, and contractors out there, that when something happens, make a note of it and solve it with a process right away.
Right. Save lives.
Thanks for sharing. That's funny. Colleen, you've accomplished a lot in your career thus far. What would you consider to be the most proudest moment or accomplishment? Because really, I'd like people to know, I know that you are not only Woman of the Year, you've served on multiple boards, presidents of boards, so you've got a great list of accomplishments, but what is it that you're proud of?
So I would say my most recent one I'm kind of proud of, just because it's different. Not that every single moment when it happened was something that was pretty spectacular in my life, and I'm very, very grateful for. They're all different chapters, all different seasons. And Danielle, you share some of those same accomplishments. So you get that they're all very important in their own way. And they all represent like a really special time. And I think that's what I love about them. But as far as something where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really happening, like this is for real, I would say the International Network Women in Cooling that I head up currently, I still sometimes I'm like, this is for real. Like, I'm really going to India in the next couple of months, and they're sending me there to speak. And like, there's just different things that I'm like, this is real life. So from never really doing anything but Canada, Mexico, and the United States to like suddenly doing like 8 other countries in like a year or 2 years has been kind of nuts. But very cool. It's been a really neat experience. And it was honestly because of the other experiences here over the years that I was granted that opportunity to become a leader in that, and be able to really kind of see how other countries are are in the trades, how they handle contracting, how they handle distribution, what their view of things are. They don't even like, there's so many huge differences that we take for granted. Like, we think we're behind on some things here until you have to go to another country and see how women have to work in our industry over there. You're just like, you just don't know. It's nuts. And there's so many differences that I've learned, how people go to market, how manufacturers work over there, how you do co-op, or if you do trade agreements or anything, or how regulatory. It's nuts. And it's been a very, very broadening experience for me, which also helps me kind of reflect on some of the stuff that we have locally going on here and get some perspective. But also like meet some really cool people and create more allies. So
Yeah. You know what I love about this? You brought up so many great points, especially how blessed we are to be in America. And although sometimes our industry might think is difficult, it's so much easier compared to what other people have to go through sometimes. But how awesome is it that anybody that's listening that works with online access, that knows Colleen, by talking with Colleen, by working with online access, by sharing your stories and your learnings, like you're actually contributing on a global level to the industry. And so everybody that teaches Colleen things or that shares testimonies with Colleen,
right.
she's able to take that now globally and be the voice for all of us to help these other countries to find a better way to offer services and to bring heating and air, for example, plumbing, electrical into these remote areas that don't have it. And we're starting, how she mentioned, the International Network of Women in Cooling. So starting in cooling, but what a neat thing to be a part of. I love that we can kind of vicariously live through you and be a part of that on a global level.
Like, we just got back from England and Scotland, and we obviously, every time I get an opportunity to go over there, I take a little time. I mean, it's just one of those things where you just want to take a few days and explore because it's so different. But learning how the UK handles contracting and being able to talk with people there and say, well, in the US, it's very different, like how we actually market ourselves, or how the distributors work with us, or what our supply chain looks like. And yet they pretty much kind of operate like the contractors have their white vans and stuff like that. And there's these little companies, like, how the utilities kind of want us to do it now, where they send out the jobs and they basically say, okay, I have 8 contractors, and then if you look here, I'll choose one of my contractors that are preferred. That's pretty much it. Same thing with the distributors. It's like the distributor or the utility chooses the contractor. And it's not like a contractor has to build up their own brand to go to have their own business. They're at the mercy of the leads that are given to them in most cases. It's very different. And so they don't really do marketing companies. They don't really do like an online access over there would be like really weird, because they're like, well, my distributor does that for me, or the union, or not the union, but the utilities do that for me. So it's kind of interesting. Going to trade shows over there was cool, seeing the differences. But a lot of what I learned from my customers, from all the different organizations that me and you get to be a part of and stuff, like that's pretty much a lot of what I'm able to share, and really kind of bring some light to some things of, hey, maybe there's something we can learn, and then maybe there's something they can learn, so
that is a good segue into online access. I'd like to ask, marketing and marketers are usually friendly and fun and out there and getting their brand out, and so it is a competitive field here in the US, right? It is very competitive. So what do you think sets online access apart from others? What is your niche? Where are you guys feeling that you're really serving and adding great value right now?
So one of the biggest things that have set us apart in order to keep us in business and having a great reputation in this industry for so long, because now we're just about 25 years in, is first off, we have incredible, I would say, flexibility and empathy and a lot of experience. A lot of our contractors who have used us over the years, one of the cool things that I love about it is we have a lot of them that will go, because it's kind of in our industry, a lot of people flop marketing companies every couple of years. It seems to be a huge cycle. And yet we have a lot of returning customers, and our average customer length of stay is usually over 5, 6, and sometimes 10 years.
Wow.
And so that's something I'm very proud of. We
Yeah.
do keep in touch with what works and what doesn't. We make sure everything that we offer is something scalable, something that we can provide and not overpromise. We want to make sure that we're over delivering, basically,
Mhm.
and not disappointing people. And then the hard realities of this, I think that happens sometimes is sometimes there are obviously all different sizes of companies out there. And over the years, we have found like being flexible and being understanding in some cases. And yeah, you'll find out real quick the people who will take advantage of you, but also
Mhm.
giving people a break when you can't get water from a rock, or so times are hard or something happens, because business can be unpredictable at best. Like we do
Mhm.
a lot for our customers in those regards. And that has always paid us back tenfold. Loyalty is a huge thing. Having a really strong understanding of the business and coaching people along and having really strong allies like the new
Mhm.
flat rate, like Company Cam, like other companies that we work with that we're
Mhm.
able to say these really work and this really can help your business grow, because in turn it helps us grow.
Yeah.
That's part of it too. It's not just a one spot solution. Like there's only
Mhm.
so much even online access can do for you if you don't have
Mhm.
these other components in your business. And so realizing that a lot of time it's a lot of coaching, a lot
Mhm.
of come alongside, and sometimes some flexibility.
Yeah. That's so good. Less is more, and we're not all of us can be all things for all people, and we shouldn't. We can provide the most value as businesses when we have a really good strong niche and core, and then like you said, refer out other pieces to other allies that are tried and true.
Yeah.
So I think that's so important. What is some of the most meaningful feedback that you guys, Online Access, has received from your customers about the value you're providing? Like,
Number one is we get a lot in this because we get our reviews, and like sometimes our team will kind of have contests about who can get the most reviews, but it always comes back as far as like availability. Like you can always call and get a hold of somebody.
mhm.
And I know that's not always a reality in with my competitors. Sometimes it depends because there's a
Mhm.
lot of different work. And regardless of what other way you've figured out how to run your business, we find that having a team in-house makes a
Mhm.
huge difference. And we have a very young team, and that's the reality of it. And so there's
Mhm.
different expectations, and we have to do our best to do training and stuff. And like having them together, they're able to learn and pick up things faster. And honestly, they're available for our customers more. And I can
Mhm.
share that. And you can overhear things, when stuff goes wrong. But our customers, more than just me being the face of the company, they
Mhm.
start having certain reps that are their favorite or people that are favorite. And I love that. And so
Yes.
people say, I love working with Summer. I love working with Brandon. They're very
Yeah.
responsive. Like, oh my gosh, like I can always get an answer from Online Access. If I have a change, it's done the same
Mhm.
day. Like
Mhm.
that's one of the things that we have as one of our hallmarks is our quick turnaround.
Yep. That's so good. Talk about websites for a minute.
Sure.
Just-
Websites.
yeah.
Broad topic.
Well, and but to narrow it down a little bit, is it correct to say that that was really kind of foundational? Like you guys
Yeah.
started with websites. Like let's get the basics going for businesses in the industry, and let's get the website.
And if I have to, I have a couple soapboxes on this just because
Yeah.
I have in my last 12, 13 years of this, like people have a lot of crazy expectations on marketing companies, and I get it. There's definitely some
Mhm.
accountability there and stuff, but digital marketing honestly is one of the easiest things to keep metrics on, which is great. But also on the opposite side of that, it's like, how do you bring as far as accountability to other parts of your marketing plan? You really can't in some cases. And so having a whole plan that works together is a big deal. And the foundation of that really is a website. And I do know that Google Business Profile plays a huge play. There's all sorts of other things that people find you on, but your website really is your home base. And
Mhm.
as I talk to people all the time about this, it's your mothership, if you will. It's one of the things that people are going to go visit more than your office building is going to be your website. It's your first impression. It's where people kind of go to silently stalk you to figure out whether they need you or not. But websites are not hunting, they're trapping. And I do think that there's this misunderstanding out there where it's like, hey, I got a website from you and my phone's not ringing. And it's like, yes, search engine optimization plays a huge role into it, but that's only part of the game. What else are you doing to drive traffic to your website, to bring people in there, to convert them? Because we're a very undertaker industry. Nobody's passionate about what we do until it's broken.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
when that happens, you can have maybe a very small percentage of that population of people that don't have a friend or don't have a clue of who they're looking for. Most people are looking for people by name. They're already looking for somebody they know. They're already working off a recommendation, and they'll search your name directly. Additionally to that, if they don't know anybody, don't have any friends, don't have any experience, that's a very, very small portion, by the way. They're doing the AC repair near me or something like that. And if they don't already recognize you, even if you're surfacing on that first page 100 times, if they don't already recognize you or aren't compelled or don't find something, like they'll look for something that's familiar first. And what are you doing to steal that headspace before that even happens? And I think that's why brand plays into a lot of stuff, actually leaning into it, not just that, your reputation, your referrals, what are you doing to make sure you're consistently receiving reviews? There's a lot. But I think people take for granted having a strong foundation, and the website really is a part of it, but you have to use it as a tool. It's not just a billboard.
Yeah, what are a couple key components? You said some really great things. I love that it's the mothership. I love that it's your home base, right? If you do have a website, great. If you don't, then let's start there and get you your home base foundation, and let's make it good. So are there a couple key things that people could check right now on their website? Personally, there's times that I'm like, I do not want to go to my website. Like when you know that there's things about your website that are not good, it's like out of sight, out of mind is way better. I don't even want to face it. But the reality is, if we got to go look at our website today, like what couple things should we look for to make sure that we're at least subpar, if not doing good on our website?
Some of the best components, and like this goes kind of across the board, and we kind of have website checklists, right? So first and foremost, I always say this one first, and obviously you can work with any of your providers on this, like hold them accountable, ask some questions, but your website ultimately is your responsibility. Your marketing company definitely should be pointing you in the right direction, but they can't do anything without you providing them some of this stuff, because they're not going to guess for you. You don't want them to. You don't want my team writing your offers for you and writing content. Like, we can coach you, but it should come from you. Pictures, number one. You can look at every big one out there. Let's say every Dutton Plumbing, every Jerry Kelly, every Crop Metcalf, every George Brazil, and whatever big companies you want to say, Gettles, whatever. And one of the things they have actual pictures of their actual team. Now, short of actually hiring a photographer, which I don't think is hard for any of us to do, honestly, especially if your nieces, sisters, aunts is a budding photographer, like a couple bucks, like organize that, because those pictures mean a lot more than the silly stock photos that we happen to lean on. And I'm sad to say, a lot of our sites use stock photos because our contractors refuse to send us photos. And yet with cell phones, everybody has that opportunity, and people take it for granted. Well, I don't know if that'll make the phone ring. You know what? It's not going to hurt you, because people just want to recognize you as something real and legit. And it's a trust factor thing. And it just looks so much more professional, and it doesn't really cost you that much to do. And I have a whole photo checklist I give people too, to say, here, do these, have a company photo day. Here's the scavenger hunt, a picture of somebody answering the phone, picture of your team leaning against their trucks. Do not put your team against a brick wall. They're going to look like a police lineup. So like different things that like make a big difference. And you don't realize that even if you have I use this a lot. So, I mean, if you've ever heard me speak on a podcast, I do have this soapbox, and I'm going to continue to have it until it changes. But like, you can hire an intern to follow your guys around, take a few pictures of them doing an install. It's totally worth it. Like if somebody's free in the summertime and you want to give them a part-time job, like this is the kind of stuff that helps your social media. It helps any of your branding. If you're going to do some marketing pieces or even some billboards and stuff, use real pictures. Everybody knows a stock photo. Get over the stock photos. And then your website, and like people have a photo agreement with your people, of course, for a release form. That's easy. You can put that together in ChatGPT. It takes like 2 seconds. I did one for a contractor while I was on the phone. Have a sign and release for their picture, and don't worry about group photos that have past employees. Okay. It's not that big of a deal. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
But
this is so good. And why I mean, it's always been relevant, but now I think people don't realize it's more relevant what you're saying than ever before because of AI, because of everything else that's going out there. So there's all these statistics, and people way smarter than me taught me this, which is all these developers and, product officers and stuff. When they started telling me the statistics so for example, when you get a phone call and it's an AI bot, and it's, inviting you to do something, and it's trying to sound human. They did all these tests, and people don't want to interact with it. And then they change the accent. Oh, well, people want to talk to a British accent or a South African accent, right? But that didn't do it. What people want to know and how they interact better 95% of the time is if it says, hey, I'm an AI bot. Do you want, will you continue the call with me or do you want to talk to a human? They don't trick them. Don't trick them.
Right.
So when people go to your website and it's like, oh, this is perfect and it's polished and here's all these not crop, but stock photos, everything's looking perfect. The AI world is so fake perfect right now that we don't trust it as humans, but
Yeah.
we trust humans. So that's the key is people do not trust the perfection of AI, but you want them to perceive trust in your business. So then all of a sudden you've got these real pictures of your team, like Colleen's saying, and it can just be a selfie in the shop. It doesn't have to be anything
Oh,
crazy.
no, not at
And
all.
instant credibility now more than ever of, oh, okay, good. This is not a fraudulent website. They're not just trying to take my credit card or my address. It's not fraudulent. It's real people.
Absolutely. And you're able to tell your story differently because people are like, oh, especially if you have a picture as the owner, this is my family business. This is my team. There's some ownership to that. There's some accountability, but people can see you in a supermarket and not be afraid to say, oh my gosh, you're the owner of Vincent's. Like, I know who you are. And this is my community. This is my family. This is very much my bread and butter. And, when you actually do business with us, this is who you're supporting. So there is a narrative there that I think people take for granted, and it does affect your sales. It does affect people engaging with you as a business. And it's really not hard. I guess that's what makes me kind of frustrated about the whole thing is, yeah, it's a time thing, but you have all the resources at your disposal to do it. It's not like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get time to shoot that whole video. I get that. Videos take some time to put together. But when it's snapping a few photos and telling people, hey, stand next to this and do this, like it really is within your reach. And it's something that I don't care if you make less than 500,000 a year or if you make 100 million a year, you're gonna be able to do this. There are other factors on the website that people forget that for interaction, always have a hiring page. I always tell people that have a careers page because honestly, everybody's hiring. Having those, like what are your staples as a business? What are the things that you offer? Do you have testimonials from your employees? But have a hiring page, whatever it is, Bob's Heating and Cooling /careers, but always have your job application, what your benefits are, what you're looking for on that page, because it can be dynamic. We encourage our customers to pass out even business cards with QR codes on. If you see talent, like make sure you're saying, hey, I recognize something in you. If you're ever looking for a job, please look us up. And that can always go to that careers page where somebody can enter, and have an application. We always have that page on there, even if we're not doing an Indeed ad, even if we're not doing something where we're doing a campaign, but it's always passive. And honestly, I've found really great employees doing that where they found us. Additionally,
I think that's really good to have that career page. And this is just a great shout out that you do not have to do this yourself. Use online access and then just say, hey, Colleen, I need a career page. Here's my ad. And then they can make those changes to your website for you because you probably don't want to be out there tweaking and changing your website. And so use online access.
But you do want to put together your ad because my team does it.
The core values might not be right. The benefits might not be right.
They might be offering a lot more money than you're willing to pay.
Free lunch every Friday or whatever.
And I think the other thing I was going to say is financing. Don't forget to put your financing on your website. I'm not trying to plug any certain thing, but we have so many customers that forget that. And it's like, nobody's affording our services today, even some of the repairs without that option. And customers forget that their website can be such a great tool to send people to say, hey, you want to look at our payment options and plans and look at some great financing, availability that we have, click on our website. You can fill out the application right there.
That's such a great point. And I learned yesterday, this is shocking, but Americans this year have spent 54% more money than they made already.
Wow.
So that means they're not using it with their salary and their payroll. They need access to more money, right? And so what Colleen's saying is putting that on your website relieves that, lowers the barrier right away. So they know they can do business with you because 54% going above and beyond what they've made, that means they have to have access to more cash. And so you got to let them know whether or not you're able to do that. And then right away, they know that they can do business with you.
They have to have payment plan options. Even like I said, some repairs nowadays, even if it's a couple of months, just to say, hey, can I pay in installments? That's huge.
Yeah, it has been. The new flat rate partnered with Optimus and we integrated into our platform so that we could offer the payment plans on the repairs. And there's been an uptick because of that. So that has been neat to see. Okay, so coming back to you though, how do you stay motivated and continue to innovate your work?
Honestly, staying in touch with the industry in general. Also, I'm gonna be honest, like there, besides yourself and having really great allies, we're able to touch base and kind of say, okay, what's the pulse point that we're looking at?
Mhm.
I have some of my competitors that I really respect and consider friends, and
Yeah.
we sometimes are able to talk shop and just be like, look, what is going on here? What are you doing? What's the best? Like,
Mhm.
what's the worst we're seeing? What are things that you're struggling with? And it feels so good to sometimes be like, oh my gosh, you're not alone. Like, there's
Mhm.
some things that we're all facing, and stuff that only another marketing company might understand, that you're like, oh,
Yeah.
like, and it that feels so good, but you're also able to sharpen each other. And we
Mhm.
do believe that there's enough business for everyone. And
Mhm.
even to the point where it's like, um, we share stuff and say, okay, well, is this a good product option? Or sometimes we create products together. So there are a lot of ways that I make sure that I am collaborating with smarter people than me.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
able to contribute to the conversation and participate
Mhm.
any way I can. And if that means like online access as resources to build something better, we
Mhm.
try not to have walls or fences. And I don't think that there's any necessarily secret sauce out there besides really being thorough and honest about what you're providing, and
Mhm.
continuing to be better by staying plugged in, because unfortunately with digital marketing, it's a constantly moving target. Google is not something that comes out and says,
Yeah.
by the way, we're going to do this tomorrow. You have to be doing your research. You have to be plugged into those forums and those groups that are constantly on the pulse point, and have
Mhm.
to know where the direction of things are going and be ready for it. And then
Mhm.
we have to try to prepare our customers for that. Um,
Yeah.
so it's a constantly moving target that we're trying to stay ahead of. It's one of the things when I have to write for different trade press articles and they're like, oh, can you write about this? And I'm like, great, but it won't release for another 6 months. So then like by the time that releases, it won't even be relevant anymore. That
Yeah.
drives me nuts.
I know. Uh, y- Everybody, I can't say this enough. Colleen and her team are a really great resource over there at Online Access. I know that you don't have to do all the research and have your pulse on all things marketing. Reach out to them, they can do it for you. As we get ready to close up our time together, are there any upcoming projects or goals that you're really excited about? Anything new on the
Well,
horizon?
we are like, one of the things online access, and we've worked with this past, we're not necessarily crazy about PPC, never have been. I really, pay-per-click marketing, honestly, like to me, and it still is to a certain point, was like, spitting on a wad of cash, throwing against a wall and hoping it sticks.
Hmm.
Like there's so much to it. And it's even gotten worse in some cases, but it's become such a necessary part of a lot of different brand strategies and marketing strategies. And we were working with several different partners to get it done, to try to do it for our customers. And honestly, I've been disappointed in all of them.
Hmm.
So we brought it back in-house, and we've been working with probably about a dozen or so of our customers, but we're doing it differently. So I'm going to
Okay.
be the first person to say on this call, and everybody's like, oh my God. Number one, you can actually keep your own Google ad account. Whoa, I know nobody does that, because you're like, you put all that work into it. Honestly, we're not married to it. If you want to set up, we will optimize it for you. We will be an agency on the account. We will set up your campaigns for you, do your keyword strategy, all of it, and all your analytics, everything too, and the call listening. But you own your account. So in the event that you ever want to walk away from our services for just ads or anything like that, you can take it with you. You don't have to start from
Hmm.
scratch. Additionally, we don't want the spend. I think it's bizarre, and I'm going to say this on your podcast, that marketing companies think it's okay to get a portion of the spend, because then it's only in my best interest to make sure you spend more in ads, because I'm making a percentage of that.
Hmm.
So again, there's no checks and balances. And then they hold your money hostage when you don't need it. So because you're put in a
Yeah.
long-term contract where you have to use it month after month, and it really makes people pretty upset. They're like, we don't want to turn it off. Doesn't matter. You already have 40K into this. You're gonna use it.
Hmm.
So being able to turn off your own campaigns and stuff because it's on your credit card, but Google is making some changes where it might just be ACH going forward, because they're
Wow.
seeing people stop their own credit cards. And I think it's
Yeah.
not just credit card fees, it's also Google making sure they're getting paid. So
Hmm.
we'll see where that landscape goes, but we don't want necessarily pieces to spend. We basically want a management fee, and then call listening, call tracking, analyzation for the lead, that type of stuff that we're doing. And we have a different structure in our pricing. But we want to make sure that there's two parts of accountability, not just based on what the spend is. And we've had some very happy clients with that approach, and they like using their own credit card because then they feel like they have control.
Totally.
They're able to get the points off of that, which is great.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we don't want to do that. And
Yeah.
we'll see what ACH brings us. If Google really does,
Hmm.
go through and it's ACH going forward, it's going to be a different world for paid ads, that's for sure. So
Hmm. Yeah, no kidding. That's
look
good
for
to
that on
know.
the horizon.
Yeah, no, for sure. how can everybody reach you? And I know that Colleen has a free gift today too. So
Yeah. A couple of downloads. If you reach out, I have a photo checklist. I promise I will not harass you. It's not what we do, but if you're ever open to a conversation, you want to do a Zoom call, you want to sit down, you want to talk about services, you want to talk about products that we offer, you can always visit hvacwebsites.com. Additionally to that, if you just want to reach out to me at ckeyworth@online-access.com, and Danielle will have those details, and I can give you a free download too. And I promise I won't take your number, add to our mailing list, and order you a bunch of pizzas that you don't want. It's okay. We're pretty approachable that way. So we have a download for photo checklist of different photos you should get if you're going to do a photo day that are really great to use in your marketing. And additionally, we have one if you're ever planning on moving your business, a checklist for what you need to do if you're moving, because there's a lot of stuff people forget to tell their digital partner that really affect you if you change your address and want to move buildings. So there's 2 of those items for you.
good point. Thank you so much. That's a wealth of knowledge. Appreciate you being here, Colleen. And I can't wait to see you again here soon at the next event.
Thanks, Danielle. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to learn more about the new flat rate, go to tnfr.us. If you want to learn more about online access, go to hvacwebsites.com. Lastly, don't forget to reach out for your free download. Email Colleen at ckeyworth@online-access.com.